countdown.
Hello and welcome to the Good Old Days. I'm Pat Riley and our host is retired Selectman Don McKinnon. And we have special guests with us here, Don, from American Legion Post 405 in
Means
Raynham.
when there was a war, they were on our side.
And they are always on our side.
That's true.
We have the current commander and our past commander, Jimmy Banks, our past commander, and Bill Ryder, our current commander of the American Legion Post here in Raynham. Thank you both very much for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Don?
Well, anyway, we know these guys have brought it back from, and I'm very careful how I say this. There was a time when the American Legion had a problem. Troubled times, we call it. And it took these gentlemen and people of that team, if you will, to bring it back to where it is today. It was a time when it was almost, somebody bailed it out. It even went to a point where they needed someone to assist them, and they did. Being a good citizens, we don't know who, but somebody assisted. But then you guys have brought it back from that brink to now, where it's not only solid, it's contributing to so many different things that, well, anyway, we're very glad you guys formed that team back, back when.
Thank you.
Our location is on Mill Street, if anyone doesn't know.
291 Mill Street.
Yeah, and now you're a chapter of like a national organization, is that correct?
Right. There's a district, Bristol County, and then there's the state, and then the national. So it's, nationwide.
Absolutely. And your district, does it just include people from Raynham or anyone?
No, District 9, is Bristol County.
Okay.
Fall River, New Bedford, Attleboro's, Seekonk, Swansea. No, they're all in it. And there's others, and then we're right on the line because Bristol County and Plymouth County, because Bridgewater's in a separate district, and they're in Plymouth County. So that's another district for the American Legion.
Now, Bill, who can belong to the American Legion?
There's, you have to be a veteran, and you have to be during a certain period as mandated by Congress. And there's the Vietnam, Iraq, Afghanistan, Korea.
World War II, you still have a few of our World War
Yes,
II
we do,
veterans.
There's very few left. They're aged quite a bit.
They said the average, is 90 years of age, which is really, I imagine if you got in at 86 and 88 years of age, they'd be 88, 86, 88 now, but they would have probably lied about their age, which people did. I often said the difference between World War II and Vietnam was that in World War II, you lied to get in the service, and in Vietnam, you lied to stay out of the service.
Yes, you did.
And so that is the way the world changes and over the period of years. But 90, they gave 9-0, which is really something for World War II, because my recollection goes back to when we used to say, there aren't many World War I vets, my uncle, my father, World War I. Now we're saying the same thing now about World War II, that when I was a young man, that's what they said about World War I. And I'm sure with my parent, my father, and those veterans of World War I, I'm sure they talked that way about the Civil War. So.
How far does the American Legion as a national organization go back? Was it active after World War I?
Actually, I'm no great historian on it, but I heard it started in France in World War I.
Okay.
And there's this 40 and 8. It's I guess it's so many carts and so many mules at the time, and that's where it really started. And then when they came home, it took hold in the United States, back home.
Sure.
And it came from there,
And the goal, I would think, is to provide service for our veterans?
Yeah, that's our main goal is to provide for veterans, But we're also, we're in the community, we don't pay property taxes, So we try to contribute to sports programs, and, you know, the American Legion has different, they have different programs like Boys State, Girls State, State Trooper programs, you know, and we at a local level, we fund them. We'll
You do a lot. Mhm.
send one boy, you know, 2 boys, you know, and 2 boys to Boys State and 2 girls to Girls State, you know, every year. And that's a good program. What they do is they'll send kids from all over the state. Again, you know, they're coming from all the districts, all the different, you know, like Bristol County,
All the
you know,
different-
the different counties.
Right.
We'll send them, and then it used to be out in Chicopee, because my daughter went years ago, and it was out in Chicopee, but they've been holding it at Stonehill, and what they do is they set up a government, you know, their own governments.
Right.
From different kids that are sent from the schools there, and they, you know, it's a good program. They get to meet other kids and, you know, see how other kids are doing.
Sure, and they're some of our future leaders. It's a
Right.
leadership council type thing. Yeah, absolutely.
There's also a contribution to the scholarship program that you people give to annually.
Yep.
We have the Monty.
We always,
Monty's,
Jared
fund,
Monty.
Yes.
we always give to, every year we give to Jared's scholarship. And last year, or the last few years, we got a great award from the Walter Reed Society this year. We got the Combat Medic Award. I think it was the first time in New
Yes.
England or something.
First time.
We've been giving 5,000 to the Walter Reed Society, and they we didn't expect it, but they sent us a really nice letter and a bronze statue of the Combat Medic Award.
The award itself, my understanding is that there's very few that have been given by Walter Reed, and the one that we received is the only one given to an organization as such, the American
That's a
Legion.
great honor.
It was.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
That's because we have the best here in Raynham, right?
Well, you try. You
You
try.
guys also
That's all you can
contributed
do.
generously to the Veterans Memorial,
Yeah.
to that, and that was one of the things that sparked it, that got it going there.
Yeah.
That's the memorial behind the town hall.
That's right.
That's looking very nice. The Scout Troop 79, some of the Eagle Scouts came there. We paid for the mulch. We did. Yeah. No. The Veterans Memorial Committee's paying for the mulch.
Right.
I saw them working over the weekend there, fixing things up, making
Yeah,
the
we,
town hall look great.
We planted flowers both sides of the walkway.
Right.
And we've got some other projects that we're going to look into as far as putting the service flags in the back part
Right.
for each.
That's proved to be a
Nice.
great
branch.
location.
Yeah,
Yeah.
oh, it's-
Very nice.
Very
because
nice,
There's
right.
many other areas, and certainly it had a life of its own, going around to different locations
Oh, yeah, that was
where
a-
it was going to be. But I think in our heart, we always wanted that. The only problem is we did have a little bit of a problem with the bureaucracy of small town, and so it took a little while.
Somebody said it's the Veterans Town Hall. Why wouldn't you have the Veterans Memorial? and to me, that was,
It made sense.
sometimes the simplest things.
Yeah. Right, right.
Now, Bill, how many members do you have? About, approximately?
We have a goal of 180.
Really?
We have 168 present paid members, and we're constantly recruiting. The Vietnam era, Iraq, and Afghanistan, and so forth, they're young soldiers, and they're
Thank you.
grateful. They're grateful
That'd be
to.
you, Jim.
They're grateful to to be, home and so
Sure.
forth, and they've got a lot of things other than sit around with some old heroes and so forth. So, but gradually they'll
Well, suppose someone is listening out there. How do they get involved? How do they sign up, Bill?
just come down or contact the Legion, and we'll sit down and we ask for their
DD 214.
DD-214, and we check the service
Dates?
dates that they have, and they sign up, and we have our dues are $30 for the year, and,
That's certainly reasonable.
oh, yes.
Very good. Now, Don, you're a veteran.
I keep saying, the thing about many veterans is they don't talk about what they did, So therefore, a lot of people assume that they did, and sometimes they did. But they get people like me in trouble who really didn't do anything. So because of that, I don't say anything, but because I didn't do anything. And that's the problem with getting a good story. But I'm a storyteller. If I had a story, you'd hear it. But the veterans are rather quiet in a way about their service. But yes, many of us serve, and we just, in those days, it was you did your duty. It isn't, now what bothers me sometimes about, not to, very sensitive now about non-veterans, but many of them seem to want to go into combat readily as long as they don't have to. And sometimes they get to talk a little too much war talk in my world. John Kennedy years ago was speaking to a college group, and he was talking about maybe in Vietnam we'll have to do something. It was prior to Vietnam, obviously. And there was silence, and all of a sudden he realized, and he says, I didn't mean you people. And then they all applauded and thought, that's right, let's go get them, as long as it's not me. So the thing about being in the service now, and these gentlemen can explore it more than I, because they're active in the recruiting of veterans, it's an all-volunteer service. And so when I was in, they gave you somebody told me, I believe they have a number now, but no one moves on that number, though. There is a draft number. They have it. But when I was young, you had your number. You could almost tell when you were going to be called. And if you wanted to join a different branch, you volunteered prior to that call. This is how you did it. And I enlisted to be with one of my closest friends. And then I realized afterwards, now you guys, maybe didn't get involved in this aspect of it. U.S. and R.A. And the U.S. was those who were drafted, and the R.A. were those who enlisted. And it's because 80% or so were drafted, the 20% that were RA sometimes, was a little bit of a situation.
Well, the RA was considered as
young.
They were regular Army.
That's right.
And
that's what RA
therefore they were career perspectives.
Career oriented.
Right.
Yeah. But Congress in his infinite wisdom, I kind of don't agree with this thing about the dates. My feeling is if anybody ever was in the service,
Puts on that
if they ever signed, put their name on the, put themselves on the line.
Yes, absolutely.
It doesn't matter whether there's a war going or not, because you don't know what's going to happen the next day once you join. So I've always, I've always been in disagreement with the date thing anyway. I don't know if
Yeah,
Bill feels
they
about it.
should.
They should
A
open that up.
veteran's a veteran.
Absolutely.
Veteran's a veteran. That's
No
how I
matter
feel.
what the date was, you served your country.
Today,
and
it's
you're a
more at
veteran.
risk than, in a way, in a non-war, there is a risk more than when there was sometimes when there was a war, because when there was a war, the uniform had a certain honor, and therefore there was things that wouldn't happen if you wore a uniform. Now, There are people that single you out if you wear the uniform. There are military people who are told at times not to wear the uniform into town and things like that.
Oh, yeah.
That's a terrible thing to say, but that's pretty much the way it is. So I agree with you, James. Anytime a person enters the service, they are at risk.
Exactly.
They put that uniform on, that designates to the people that don't like us that these people are the ones that are going, you're going to have to go through those people.
Exactly.
And you don't have to have a date of war to have to go through those people.
Right.
Well, several years now we've been having our Veterans Day programs in all of our Raynham schools, and you and members from your post get very involved in that. You're very involved in our schools. So back in 2012 we decided we wanted to get a little bit more involved with our veterans, and being spurred on by Sandy Leahy, decided that it was time to paint our town red, white, and blue and buy some flags and decorate the center of town and have a parade. So, and you two have been instrumental and so helpful in that from the very beginning.
Yeah, but
and
you guys are the spearheads.
but we're coming up
Started
to
with the flags.
Yeah.
It's our privilege to be part of it.
Oh, yeah.
But doesn't it look great with our flags in the center of town?
Terrific.
And
Oh,
now
yeah.
in front of Town Hall.
And Pat, you'd have to give the dates, because what's going to happen to this
Right,
show
this
is
is
this
gonna
runs beyond the date of the
Right.
parade. So the people will know that it's what, the 20...
It's to be Saturday of Memorial Day weekend, the 23rd, which happens to be this Saturday.
So
but it
those
might
who are
not be in
watching, it's
replay.
the 20th, because we'll try to get this
Exactly.
broadcast on today if we can.
Absolutely.
And then for the parade, and then afterwards, we will have had the parade.
That's right,
And the
exactly.
forecast is for
And
good
if
weather.
it's afterwards, then you just missed it. You'll have to catch it next year.
yeah,
But
yeah.
yes, good weather. I think the first year, if you recall, we had showers.
Yeah, it was-
It was raining. It stopped for the parade, and as soon as we had finished our ceremony afterwards, it poured.
that
And then the second year, no rain, but it was cold.
Yeah.
And I guess it's going to be a bit chilly this year,
A
too.
little
but-
chilly this year.
Yeah.
But it seems each year it's catching on. It's
Yes.
getting better and better.
Yeah, well, I noticed
The
driving along.
speakers have been very good, I will say that. You know, sometimes that's not the way it is, but it is, they do very well.
That's really important. Afterwards, there's a brief ceremony at the gazebo park,
And it's
which
always
is really
well done.
very nice.
Yeah.
The flag
exactly.
folding was excellent,
right.
excellent last year.
Yes,
We
wasn't
added
that
that last
something?
year, and
It
that
was
was so
moving,
nice.
wasn't it?
Moving,
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah.
And our friends from the Army unit, Reserve unit in Taunton are coming to do that again this year, so that'll be really nice. But I was called by a news reporter saying, well, what's different about this Memorial Day parade compared to the others? And I said, well, I think because it originated with the schools, you know, and a way for the children to not only show respect for our veterans and those that we've lost, but also to teach some patriotism to our young kids. And I think that's what Rainham
Right.
Dawn is all about. We're
Right.
a very patriotic town.
Seems that way, and it's getting more and more active along that. I think the Veterans Memorial and the Legion group and all, and we have a VFW in Taunton, which is fairly close to us, so we have a lot of action coming down for the veterans. And have we got any recent report on John Montagano? We had a little...
I know he had.
Our veterans officer, John Montagano, had an episode.
Yeah.
Let's just say
Yes, the last I heard, and that was Tuesday, that he was doing well, and that his wife was looking forward to bringing him home.
Sure. Yeah.
I think he
He's a
just
great
has
guy.
a speech issue.
He's World War
speech
II.
therapy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's been on our show, The Good
was
Old
a
Days
CB.
before.
John, oh, sure.
He was a CB.
Now, Bill, what was your service time?
I was 1956 to 77.
Wow, that's a while.
20 years, 21 actually.
Wow.
In what branch?
Air Force,
In the Air Force.
and I was in the cadet program over in Mansfield. And I was a pilot of the cadets. It's a Piper Cub that they had. And I served there 6 years over there in that program. And then I joined the Air Force.
Very good. Jim, what about you?
I was Navy
Navy?
all the way. Yeah, I was in Vietnam and a destroyer sailor, and I served in, from 65, 66, 67.
That was a
middle 60s.
really tough time because our veterans who came home from Vietnam didn't receive the respect that they should have. I think we've
I can
turned.
attest to that.
Yeah.
It's almost, difficult to address it because you don't know where to start when you say that, because patriotism is where the country got us where we are. We're the greatest country in the world. And
No doubt.
we're not a country by accident. We're a country by design. And if it wasn't for the people who, I can remember my aunt who was born in 1900, when they did, she would, after her teaching at school, she would put on her uniform in a fashion, and one day she'd be with a flashlight at night making sure, everything was okay around Woburn. But then she also got on a bus during the afternoon and went over, and she was, and the women were actually doing in the war effort the jobs where men were in the service now. So that was what they say about World War II. It was a complete action of people, and patriotism was definitely at the highest. This country is where it is because of patriotism. So that's why it's difficult to talk about the Vietnam action, because the people that went in had to be the best, because there were people who were very intellectually discussing as to why they shouldn't go. And in some cases, which don't get me going, where they give citizen awards to individuals who wouldn't go. They put a little medal around saying you're a great citizen. I don't say follow them the rest of their life and make their life miserable. But somebody went in their place if they didn't go. And so therefore someone might have lost their life in their place. So I understand in the early days you could pay someone to go in your place. I mean, wars have gone the full cycle. It's a book in itself, wars. But the people who did not treat the Vietnam veteran honorably, as we say, the Irish guilt, they should carry that the rest of their life if they showed disrespect to the military from the Vietnam. Shame on them. But there were such people, we must admit.
Oh, yeah.
Not all, but.
No. It's obviously the minority, otherwise we'd have gone for them.
Right. Because when I first came to town here, there was some World War II veterans, Carl Sherman,
Sure.
who was at Iwo Jima and Jack. So I could go through the list, but a lot of guys.
And they're legendary names you've just
Yeah,
mentioned.
that's what I'm saying. I could, I hate mentioning names because I'll forever forget somebody.
Yeah, if you don't. No, I know what you mean.
I'll leave
Somebody,
somebody
right,
out.
right.
But these
Carl
guys,
Sherman, the
these
soccer
guys
field is
took
named
me
after him.
under their wing. They treated me very well when I
That's
first
right.
came
Well,
to town.
I think
Well,
Raynham
Veterans treat veterans
must
very
be something
well.
in the water too, but I think Raynham is just seems
It
to be a
is.
really patriotic town.
Somebody
Thank
told me
goodness.
we hit the lottery when we
Yes,
we moved here.
absolutely.
Well, we have a high percentage of people who did serve, that is for sure.
Going way back.
Into
I
the
mean,
Civil
we have-
War.
You have legends about Toby Gilmore, for heaven's sake.
That's right.
Yeah, serving with
And we had a Medal of Honor
George
winner
Washington.
in,
Yes,
yeah,
right.
in the
Congressional
Civil
Medal of
War.
Honor winner, obviously posthumously provided too for Jared Monty, exactly.
Now, there is a room dedicated to Jared. Is that what it is, or is it an area
Well,
of a room? How would that
The
be?
post is Chester Bierce's post.
And
these
Bierce
guys are-
was World War II.
World War II, and Carl Sherman, the Murbys, all these guys, when they were younger, they started the post in his name, so we couldn't very well just say, okay, he's gone. So we did the hall over, and we dedicated that to Jared, and that's Jared's function room. The post is Lieutenant Chester A. Bierce. It's always been, always will be. That's the way it goes. If we, somewhere down the line, we do real well, we'll start a post for for Jared. You know?
But speaking of your hall, and you have a beautiful function hall, is that the way you're able to donate to many organizations and groups in town is you do have, in addition to your dues for members, you have a lot of fundraisers too.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Tell us about those, Bill.
Well, we have clam boils. We have the Ladies of the Legion, which are a group of ladies that have got together, and they throw a big function for the Walter Reed, the Wounded Warriors. We have comedy nights. In fact, tonight we're having a comedy night, which is a dinner and so forth. We have numerous functions. Also, we have the Sons of the American Legion. They put on functions we have a
Cookout.
big barbecue cookout,
And you've broadened out to the outside, to the back of the
Oh, yes.
Legion Hall, and that is a really
we
beautiful
put in
location
we put
now.
in a gazebo out
Yes,
back.
right.
We have a pavilion out back. We have our pit out back, and we redone the lawn and landscaped all out
It's
back.
really
and so
beautiful
forth.
back
It
there.
was,
Didn't they take something from your backyard, Bill, or something? Somebody had to round it off. Some one of the Legionnaires lost part of their backyard, and they looked and they said, that looks
what
just like
happened?
my
That looks
backyard. And they
familiar.
said, that is your backyard.
it looks
We
familiar.
last year we had Brian Oliveira. He was a Purple Heart recipient, and we put a monument up for him, and it's right on the front.
The same location as
Right,
Jared's, so
Jared's,
there's one on each side of the flag. And,
Nice.
He kind of got lost in the shuffle where Jared was a Medal of Honor.
and Jared is hometown, more or less, whereas
And Brian was home.
He was
Brian was
hometown.
hometown, but I mean, his family has moved.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And so therefore that, it made it a little, but still the memorial committee stayed at it, and you
Nice.
guys stayed at it.
And the Memorial Committee helped us with that. That was a joint venture
Yeah.
between the Memorial
Remember
Committee
a group
and
from the
American
Cape too,
Legion.
who came up and
Yeah.
assisted?
Yeah, we're going to be seeing them, the Cape Cod veterans, and now we have
Jeff
Jeff's
Bordeaux and his wife and his son Vincent. They're life members of our post,
Oh.
405.
You mean, they're from the Cape, but they're
They're
life
from the
members.
Cape. They
They're life
were
members.
but they joined our post.
They were members
told you, you
of
got the
the
best
American
post
Legion in the Boston area. And they took on this post, and they love it. And
That's
we
great.
have the Korean War veterans. They have their meetings at our club. And
See, I was in during the Korean, and when you came home from the Korean War, they'd say, "Where'd you go? Were you away for the week?" Because it's a
Were you away for
difference.
the week?
It's terrible what happened to the Vietnam, because they treat them with disrespect. But with us, they didn't even know we were gone. It was, well, yeah, I thought you were gone for a little while. Yeah. Thank you very much.
John, believe it or not, the time is ticking away here. We're almost out of it. But if people want more information about our American Legion Post 405, they can stop by Mill Street, the
Anytime.
Lodge, or your number's in the phone book. Call up and find out more information. And
come join us at any of our functions.
Yep. Come take a
Younger
look.
people moving in a little bit now for a change, because sometimes
There's
it's
some,
hard to get
yeah.
younger people involved.
There's some. Like I say, they got a lot of things to do.
And of course, the numbers are different too. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
World War II, every other person was in the service.
Yeah,
So now it's fewer number.
and we're losing
in
a
the
lot
ser-
of World War II.
That's right, at this time, yeah.
well, we want to thank you both very much for coming. Bill Ryder, commander of the American Legion Post here in Raynham, and Jimmy Banks, our past commander. Thank you both very much for everything you've done in the past and that you're
Thank
still
you.
doing for our community and our country. And John McKinnon, thank you, our host.
It's always good to see these guys, because they're the doers. There are those who say and those who do.
And with that, we are out of time. We'll join you on our next episode of The Good Old Days.
Wow, at that time.